The Columbia Lions open the Ivy season like champions. They used a balanced attack to push the pace from start to finish for a 79-66 win over Penn. Today, a new challenge in a battle for the Empire State. It's a big game against the Big Red of Cornell as they look for their first Ivy win. It's college basketball, and it's right here on ESPN+. First, let's take a look at the most up-to-date standings. 4 teams at 1-0, followed by 4 at 0-1. Columbia clearly trying to keep pace with Princeton as both teams tied for the Ivy League title last season. Hello, everyone. So glad you could join us. Alongside Byron Walsett, I'm Lance Meadow. Last year in this very building, these two teams went down to the wire in an overtime affair. It was a senior backcourt that led the way for the Big Red. Marin, this team's much younger, but a very balanced attack that they showcased.
They really don't have a superstar, and so it's true team offense and defense. On the offensive end, ball movement and patience for a great shot. On the defensive end, communication and making sure Abby Shue sees 1.5 people every time she touches the basketball.
If there's one player worth highlighting for Cornell, it is Emily Pate. She had an outstanding freshman campaign, and Mark, she's picked up where she left off. She leads the team in just about every statistical category.
A young player, a sophomore, but she's asked to do a lot because of her diverse skill set. She's comfortable shooting the three, but she's also got a low block presence. And that natural lefty, she's so smooth finishing at the rim.
Columbia is also extremely balanced, specifically on offense. They're number 1 in the Ivy League in assists. And Martin, 3 different players are in the top 10 in times per game.
They are so unselfish with the basketball. The freshmen get involved. Abby Shue gets involved. She's the recipient at times. It's really unselfish, and it speaks to the trust and the culture of this Lions program. It's a tale of 2 Shues here from last year to this year. I think everybody expected Abby Shue's scoring to go up. I don't know if everybody expected the shooting percentage as well as the rebounds and the blocks. She's making an impact on the defensive end more this year as well.
We inch closer to tip-off here in New York City. We take a look at the starting lineups. First for the Columbia Lions, Fliss Anderson coming off a very active game in the win over Penn. 8 rebounds, 4 assists. And on Cornell's side, a young team, but keep eyes on Kai Ingram, the second leading scorer. Does a little bit of everything. Scored in double figures, 7 in the first 11. The Lions winning opening tip. Cecilia Collins turnaround jumper short. And Emily Pate there for the rebound. The officials, Kevin Farlow, Cynthia Dew, and Percio Reyes, as Cornell does not miss a beat. Right out of the gates, the Big Red strikes first with a 2-0 lead, thanks to Ingram.
And right off the bat, Cornell has put themselves into a 2-3 zone. I expect to see a variety of defenses. Talking with head coach Dana Smith yesterday, she said that they're going to change things up. They want Columbia to have to think every possession.
Megan Griffith described the last meeting between these teams as a dogfight. She expects another as Collins kisses it off the glass to tie the game at 2.
Cece Collins has definitely demonstrated that she can score. I don't know that we've seen her use that low block post move quite as much.
Well, she has been much more aggressive on the offensive end over the last few games, where she has taken more than 10 shots in each of the last 2. And Megan Griffith is besides herself as a result. Cornell trying to attack inside, and they're going to get a travel on Zyria Kilgo.
This is what you expect from a post player, not a guard, but I guess if you got the scoring mentality, you're going to find a way to put the ball in. And again, she's playing with a smile on her face.
Cecilia Collins, the woman of many facial expressions. Shue caught in no woman's land. They'll reset here with Fliss. Collins, beautiful feet onside to Kitty. Kitty cannot get it to bounce her way, and it was last touch. They're going to say by Cornell, and will stay with the Lions. A bunny opportunity there.
That high-low was set up because Cornell is in a 2-3 zone. The middle of the zone will be open every single possession of this 2-3. Now, I expect Cornell to change up their defenses.
Abby Shue can't capitalize, so 2 missed opportunities for Cornell. For Columbia, excuse me, as the Big Red comes back the other way with Emily Pate right down the baseline for the lane. Collins now trying to solve the Cornell perimeter D. Ingram all over.
Really nice defense there by Ingram. Obviously paid attention to the scouting report.
And Collins is able to cash in from mid-range. She's active with all 4 points.
We're seeing Carrie Page gain more comfortability after the injury from last year, picking up earlier in the half court, playing more of that guard defensive role that head coach Megan Griffith told us was in the progression this year.
She was a bit out of position in the early stage of the season due to injury as Abby Shue off the miss. Looking to set up the transition game. Kitty from the corner, and she capitalizes off of, once again, beautiful ball distribution as Columbia unties the knot.
And quick ball distribution. Kitty Henderson made that with 25 on the shot clock.
Lions with 2 dimes on their 3 made field goals. It's Cornell now looking to answer the call. Dean tightly guarded by Kitty. Cape has 10 to work with on the shot clock. They whip it around the perimeter with 7 here for Ingram. Ingram trying to create something out of nothing, denied by Fliss. Collins gets the outlet, and the Lions again off to the races. Abby Shue stops, and they're going to get an offensive foul as standing her ground is Summer Parker Hall.
I want to comment on how fast Columbia is getting out in transition offense, but credit Columbia to not only getting back on defense, but establishing position. In their last non-conference game against Stony Brook, Cornell picked up drew 2 offensive fouls, 2 charges because of their ability to get back on defense.
And they turn defense into offense as Pate knocks it down from the elbow. She's up to 4. Abby thinking about the 3, the contested jumper, in and out, and Parker Hall there for the rebound. Cornell's mission to pick up its scoring on offense, but also make sure that Columbia doesn't get a lot of second chance opportunities, and that's not going to help the cause. Kitty off the steal, and a foul by Ingram to prevent her a clear path to the bucket.
Kitty Henderson is being aggressive and disruptive. That's a Columbia culture word. Disrupting the ball handler early in the game. Obviously, you want to show your defensive prowess on the other end for Cornell. But Kitty Henderson fills up so many statistical markers on a stat sheet.
Now, we spoke to Megan Griffith earlier in the week. Is Kitty unable to capitalize on the first? Just a 62% free throw shooter. And she talked about how she's not a prototypical point guard because of all the other things that she does, but it gives the Lions offense so much flexibility when they can put a number of ball handlers around her and she can play off the ball as effectively as she can play when she has the ball in her hands. Cornell loses the ball again in the half-court set. Shue off the steal, leaves it for Kitty, and that is an easy bucket in transition as the Lions wreaking havoc off of their defensive stops.
That was really misfortune. Cornell just slipped there, but we are seeing an increased intensity on the defensive end for Columbia, and that was something that head coach Megan Griffith talked about in the press conference and her interview with you after the Penn game. She just was not pleased with the defensive urgency and intensity.
Cornell has 3 turnovers. Columbia has 3 points off of that. Collins from the corner, and the rebound goes right into the hands of Rachel Cowes, another standout freshman out of Lake Bluff, Illinois, who has made a significant impact. She's shooting a team-best 51% from the field. And the turnovers just continue to pile, and some of these are completely unforced.
Head coach Dana Smith is unhappy with Clark Jackson there. She committed the turnover, shuffling her feet when really Rachel Cowes was wide open on the block. She didn't need to expand upon the play, she needed to throw it inside.
So that's 3 turnovers in the last minute 25 for the Big Red. Lions have put up 10 shots, Cornell just 6, and that's a differential because of opportunities on offense as Abby Shue gets on the board for the first time with a trifecta to make it a 6-0 run.
Nice little set play against the zone. We've seen that from Columbia a handful of times. They don't get zoned often.
Abby trying to close in on the top 10 all-time in Ivy League scoring. She's 1 point away from matching Justine Gaziano. As this 3 from Ingram off the mark, loose ball taps around, and it is going to stay with Cornell here on their side of the court with 4.5 minutes to go in quarter number one, as Columbia using its defensive intensity to create on the opposite end, up by 7 early on.
Think Ticket Smarter. Get your tickets your way, guaranteed, at ticketsmarter.com.
We take a look at where Abby Shue ranks on the Ivy League all-time scoring list. Now 1 point behind Justine Gaziano, standout player from Brown, graduating in 2020. And Abby Shue continues to move up the ladder, no matter whether it pertains to Columbia Marin or Ivy League history. It makes no difference.
And it's really kind of been fun to watch over the year. Her game grow from just a three-point shooter, added the pull-up, finishing at the rim.
Clark Jackson, another one of their first-year players who Dana Smith says could be a potential breakout player, as that one is not going to roll home for Rachel Cows. So the Lions again looking to push the tempo here off the miss. And that is going to be a travel on Cecilia Collins. That'll be turnover number 2. As Paige Lauder returns, and Perry Page will take a seat for Columbia. Nicole Stevens in as well, joining Shue, Kitty Henderson, and Collins, with Cornell trying to break down a bit of pressure shown by Nicole Stevens. Pate with the bullet feed inside, and a nice up and under maneuver by Jackson to float it home.
Nice play call there, and great patience by Clark Jackson. She's taken over practice, and it just becomes a confidence thing before it happens in games.
And that came after Cornell missed its previous 4 field goal attempts. Lions cutting underneath. Stevens cannot finish at the rim, but she was fouled, so she will head to the free throw line.
Another high-low. Nicole Stevens has, in some respects, Lance, been playing like that 4 spot. I wouldn't call her a post player by any means, but she's running the baseline. She is the recipient of a lot of the high-lows over the course of the season so far. I really think that speaks to her being comfortable in what her game is and allowing head coach Megan Griffith to use her. Earlier in the season, Coach Griffith was telling us she was trying to fit into what she thought the team needed when it was really just being herself.
Misses on both free throw attempts, 82% coming in. Stevens certainly plays much bigger than her size, especially when you look at what she does on the rebounding front. As Cornell trying to cut into this deficit. And that one misfired by Jackson. It was the last touch by Cornell, so we'll head back to Columbia. Big Red shooting 36% from the field. They've been plagued by turnovers, 4 that have led to 6 points for the Lions. Not a lot of movement without the ball, as Collins and Shue play catch. Collins looking for a feed, tries to thread the needle into a tough spot, and Pate was on point to deflect it, and here now comes an opportunity for Cornell. Pate bounces it inside to Jackson, the double clutch maneuver no good. Kitty Anderson will orchestrate traffic back the other way. Abby Shue for 3. And another offensive rebound for the Lions, thanks to the presence of the backcourt drawing a foul against Cornell. They're going to get Kilgo with their first.
An offensive rebound by none other than the aforementioned interior player of Nicole Stevens, being active and finding a way to make herself impactful.
Nicole Stevens had 6 rebounds in the Ivy League opener against Penn, and that is her first make in 3 attempts at the line today. What she and Fliss Henderson do on the glass is a luxury, Marin, because that's why Megan Griffith can go with 5 guards regularly in her lineup.
And also you have Kitty Henderson, who's such a prolific rebounding point guard or lead guard. the communication for somebody to get back on defense, or at least to be aware, allows the others to really hunt the glass.
Cornell trying to get the offense going. They've hit just one of their last 7 field goal attempts. Parker Hall gives it up to Ingram. The feed inside to Cows, denied by Fliss. And the Lions once again up ahead to Lauder, who glides towards traffic and finishes at the rim as Columbia once again cashing in off their defense. Once again, a balanced attack for Columbia. As we'll have a foul underneath. They're going to get Stevens on the personal.
Fliss Henderson's hands are straight up, which starts that fast break. And Paige Lauder, such an impactful role player last year, still trying to find her footing, gets out for that easy bucket.
Cornell has 20 to work with here on the shot clock. And a whistle even before the inbounds, as Parker Hall was trying to curl around. They're going to get it on Lauder. That'll be her first and the team's third. Kilgo leaving it for Vivian Nee. Off balance floater by Pate. And she gets the ring around the Rosie to cooperate in her favor. She's got 6.
Sometimes you need to be a little bit lucky. Can that be a momentum building opportunity here as Cornell goes back to their 2-3?
And they're going to get Abby on the travel. Turnover number 4 for Columbia as Perry Page will return to the game to give a breather to Paige Lauder. So one Page replaces another. So a golden opportunity here for Cornell with Columbia coughing up the ball. But offense has been an issue for this team. In 3 of their 13 games, they've gone over 60. Everything else has been below. Pate saves it. Kilgo has 10 to work with. Off the handoff, splits defenders, can't lay it in, and a rebound by Shu underneath.
Great crossover.
Weiss trying to feed it in the corner, broken up by Pate, deflecting it out of play. As Kitty Henderson will return, and Riley Weiss will take a seat. Lions will have 22 to work with here on the shot clock. With under a minute to go in quarter number 1. Abby with Ingram all over. And Page mishandles it. So another turnover for Columbia. And Kilgo will wisely slow things down.
Really clunky offensive possession and slow for Columbia.
Pate, the contested jumper from the corner, and she drains it. Emily Pate with a hot hand, 8 of Cornell's 13. And make that 9 because that was a trifecta.
Highly contested 3 at that.
Columbia with 14 on the shot clock. Fliss maneuvering, tries to feed it inside to Page. Loose ball, 7 on the shot clock. And they're going to say that Kitty was caught in a precarious spot, which leads to yet another turnover.
When Cornell has got back in transition defense and been able to play 5-on-5, they've done a fantastic job of slowing Columbia down. With this matchup, 2-3, Columbia seems a little uncertain of who's going to guard who, and it has really slowed up Columbia's half-court offense.
And Cornell, right now, has just run out the clock, but Dana Smith wants clarification from the officiating crew. I believe it has to do with that bucket that Pate hit. The scorer's table had it down as a 3. The scoreboard here in the gym had it down as a 2. So there was a bit of a discrepancy in terms of the ruling on that bucket, and I think they're going to take another look and clarify that. Emily Pate has 9 points, so they've given her credit for a 3, but once again, all of the affairs in terms of the box score did not necessarily add up, so trying to take care of that. Now, there still is 3/10 on the clock here in the first quarter, so we have not had closure yet on quarter number one.
But both teams seem to be sitting on their stools, engaged in the quarter break, while the referees continue to discuss.
Well, both teams are going to benefit from an elongated timeout, no matter how you credit it. In the meantime, important to note, Columbia on a scoring drought of over 2 minutes, Marn, 3 turnovers in the last 2:10, and now we are officially going to step aside with a quarter in the books here. It is Columbia relying on Abby Shue and Emily Pape doing the heavy lifting for Cornell in a 4-point game here after one.
Hockey means the world to me. When you see me on the ice, you'd never know I was born with half a heart. Dr. Bacha and his team at New York Presbyterian knew exactly what to do.
Jack wouldn't have survived. His heart wasn't functioning on its own. We re-engineered his heart so the right side does all the pumping. 3 surgeries before he was 3 years old.
But you wouldn't know it. They don't even know it. The only thing they know is that I'm on the ice. And that I'm not here to mess around. Half a heart, I'm all heart.
So here is that jumper by Pape towards the end of the first quarter that they took another look at, and you see both feet clearly behind the line, and it was confirmed to be a trifecta. So it is a 4-point game as we start the second quarter, and Emily Pape with 9 of the 13 on.
Pape has really done a nice job early. We were talking with head coach Dana Smith. She was saying they need to score more points. They need to get to the mid-60s, upper 60s to win conference games, to win Ivy League games. So it's not just going to be on Pate and Ingram and Kilgo. They need supporting cast. They need another player to really have a breakout game every single game, and that's tough to do.
Well, Emily Pape has provided instantaneous results since she arrived on campus last season, but even Dana Smith, when we were talking to her this week, put things in perspective, as we even talked about off the broadcast. No disrespect to Emily, but she's not Abby Shue. She's not Caitlin Chen, at least yet. So therefore, you need complementary pieces around her. And to your point, they're hoping that this youth movement, Maren, little by little moves along throughout the course of this season.
And Clark Jackson very well could be somebody who steps into a larger scoring role. She's doing it in practice, with game reps and growing confidence. Is that another player for the Big Red that gets Cornell to that 65, 67, 70 points a game?
Well, they have 5 freshmen on the team. They have 3 sophomores. 8 of their 15 players are underclassmen. And here's an opportunity to get even closer. Parker Hall fighting for position, and Pate left it a little too high for her, and that is going to be turnover number 5.
As a post coach and a former post player, I appreciate the attempt at the high-low, but ball reversal. Reverse that basketball, get it on the second time around.
And contact away from the ball. Kilgo got tied up with Collins, and that'll be number 2 on Kilgo.
And that's tough for Cornell, as Kilgo's going to have a seat.
Mia Beam replacing her, the senior out of Louisville, Kentucky. Collins reverses it to Kitty. She goes reverse, And the nifty finish with the right hand. Kitty Henderson with 8 of her team's 19. Ingram leaves it off the baseline to knee. And Abby Shue prevents the second chance opportunity. Henderson, dangerous pass, broken up by Parker Hall. Somehow it lands in the hands of Collins. And knee comes out of the pile. But Henderson fell to the ground, and we're going to get a personal against Cornell.
Persistence on the glass, or just to finish that play in a positive way for Columbia. You appreciate Kitty Henderson trying to score quickly.
So that'll be number 1 on Parker Hall. Inbounds goes to Collins, and she sneaks in front of the Cornell defense to pad the lead, and Dana Smith calls a timeout, not pleased with her team's execution in the half court. We take another look. Kitty the assist, Collins the bucket, an 8-point lead for the Lions. The Ivy League on ESPN is brought to you by Athletic Brewing. Athletic Brewing crafts great tasting and award-winning non-alcoholic beers that are fit for all times. Back here inside Levy Gymnasium, Cornell looking to regroup after being caught off guard by the Columbia inbounds. Kitty to Collins. The Big Red now trailing by 8. Shooting 35% from the field. Ingram and company called for the offensive foul as Parker Hall was trying to free her up with a screen.
And Coach Smith said, yes, you did. You moved your feet. And that's on the guard to run their defender off of the screen. As the post player, as the screener, you must keep yourself stationary, and the screenee needs to do the work.
Collins has sparked the offense, but here her pass wide to Kitty. Turnover number 7, and that's the one area that Cornell has actually taken advantage of.
They have done a nice job of scoring after they force a Columbia turnover, because Columbia has to play offense against all 5 Cornell defenders.
Emily Pate trying to come towards the basketball. She has 9 of her team's 13. And off the dribble, a reach-in against Columbia as Cows was trying to create some space. They're going to get it on Collins. That'll be number 1 on her.
Rachel Cows did a nice job of attacking Cecilia Collins' feet, forcing her to put the arm bar on the ball handler, which is an automatic whistle.
Riley Weiss back in for Columbia, replacing Nicole Stevens. As Cornell has 14 to work with here on the shot clock. Dangerous pass broken up by Kitty. Up ahead to Shue. Pulls up for the jumper. Can't get it to roll, but she will head to the line to shoot 2. They're going to get the foul on Beam. That'll be number 1 on her.
Great hands by Kitty Henderson being there on the catch. And we've seen Abby Shue with that transition 15-foot pull-up time and time again.
So this is to match Justine Gaziano and get to number 10 in all-time scoring in Ivy League history as we see her career tally. And this next made free throw will give her sole possession of 10. And she'll stay at 10 for now. Fliss with the rebound. And they're going to get a travel on her. Turnover number 8. Now Columbia coming in averages 16 a game. That puts them 6th in the Ivy League. And they're already halfway home.
If that's where you're trying to get to.
Something tells me not a number Megan Griffin had on the blackboard prior to the game. Fliss gets it to Collins. And Cecilia Collins making her teammates look good. She's got 8.
Liz Henderson did a nice job of playing off 2 feet. We know that that's something that she's working on. As Riley Weiss is called for the hand check. Again, on a nice aggressive drive by Cornell.
So that'll be the first on Weiss. Team's second here in the second quarter. Inbounds to Bean, the high arcing floater. And Kitty, another rebound. That's number 4 for her. Weiss spots up and connects. Riley Weiss off the bench, dials up long range, and Dana Smith and Cornell want to talk things over as the Lions have hit their last 3 field goal attempts and have branched out here to a 14-point lead as we take another look.
Nice pass ahead in transition by Kitty Henderson, and Riley Weiss does what she does. Shoot the basketball. And talking with head coach Ben Griffith, she says she believes that Riley Weiss is just as good a shooter as Abby Shue is. And that's something to be said when you've got Abby Shue, and we're talking about number 10 all-time in Ivy League scoring.
Well, it's another example of how they're able to lean on various different weapons, Marin, and Abby does not have to have the mindset this season where she has to carry the load. Specifically in the last game against Penn, the Ivy League opener, Cecilia Collins came through in the clutch, and that was after she had a career performance in their trip to California prior to returning here to New York City to usher in 2024.
Big possession here for Cornell. Can they execute what was drawn on the board? Can they put it into play? Taking advantage of the mismatch. Pape on the much shorter, not necessarily less physical, but much shorter Liz Henderson.
And Lexi Green in for the first time was the one that fed Pape, so they had a little bit more size in their lineup. As Columbia will have an opportunity here to add to the tally. Kitty looking for an opening, set up by her sister Fliss. Collins leaves it for Kitty. 13 on the shot clock. Fliss searching for answers. Collins has 7. Back to Fliss. And it lays on top of the rim for a few seconds before it falls through.
Everybody was involved in that offensive possession for Columbia, showing a lot of patience.
Columbia has now hit its last 4 field goal attempts at another foul well away from the bucket. They're going to get Kitty Henderson on the personal. That's number 1 on her. Susie Raffu and Nicole Stevens back in. Fliss Henderson takes a seat, and Abby Shue is going to get a breather as Columbia had 6 players on the court. Lexi Green having trouble getting it in play, finally leaves it for Ingram. As Cornell just 6 of 19 from the field. And this has been their trouble area. They shot just 25% from the field against Princeton in the Ivy opener, as Emily Pape is now in double figures with 11.
That's a perfect example of where Pape thrives in that face-up game. Certainly she has a 3-point range, but that mid-range reverse pivot, so difficult for a right-handed player to block a left-handed shot.
Weiss puts up the contested 3, well off the mark. Collins, right place at the right time. And with 8 on the shot clock, Columbia can reset here. Stevens off the feet from Kitty. Raffu, another offensive board. That'll get the clock back to 20. And she banks it in with the left hand. Susie Raffu contributing just as all of her teammates do with a lift off the bench.
Great presence there.
Cornell trying to get another player not named Pape going here. This Pape is now in double figures for the 7th straight game. That is a new career high. She puts up the shot again. Stevens is there for the rebound. Baseball pass up ahead, and Pape breaks it up. She's taking care of business here on both ends. Pape off the dribble, trying to leave it inside to Parker Hall. 17 on the shot clock for the Big Red. Ingram goes scoop and draws the foul against the Lions.
Look at this offensive rebound by Susie Rathew. Puts the basketball on the floor initially, which is kind of a no-no, but has the presence and the patience to see that she can go one-on-one, and young players get comfortable with your left hand. Had she shot that with her right hand, it would have been a block shot. Look at that
19 rebounds, yeah, for
rebound
Columbia.
discrepancy right there.
And 7 have come off the offensive glass.
And it's not just the interior players. I mean, quite frankly, Columbia doesn't have only interior players, but it is Katie Henderson, Nicole Stevens, Stacey Collins attacking the glass.
Yeah, they've combined for 10 of the team's 19 boards, and you can't allow second chance opportunities, especially when Columbia is shooting 55% from the field. The Lions break down the press to perfection. And Weiss is called for the travel. The Lions now in double digits in turnovers with 10.
You don't often see Columbia being pressed because of their ability to shoot the three, but also for any player to break that press. Not surprising that Cornell's trying to change the pace a little bit. And certainly it worked. And just a silly turnover, shuffling of the feet by Riley Weiss.
Ingram coming around the paint screen. Green backing her way into a double. Paint, good look from mid-range, and rattles in 13 points and counting for Emily Pig. But the rest of the team has only scored 6. Yet despite that, Cornell staying within striking distance, down by 12. Ten on the shot clock. Stevens loses it. Page had it. She loses it as well. We're going to get a jump ball, and the possession arrow going the opposite way. It will head to the Big Red. Fliss Henderson heading back into the game. Nicole Stevens will head to the bench. Columbia's had 3 turnovers in the last minute 44. They've made up for that, though, by hitting 5 of their last 7 field goal attempts. We're now whipping it around the perimeter to the cutting Paint. Paint this time cannot get the roll. Shrew the rebound. Up ahead to Fliss. She loses the ball. Ingram picks her pocket. It's a 3-on-1 break. Ingram threads the needle into traffic. Is trying to grab the loose ball was Clark Jackson, and we're going to get a foul on Columbia here. Perry Page. No, and actually, yeah, they are going to call it on Perry Page, and we're going to get a free throw here for Clark Jackson.
You're seeing Megan Griffith ask, what was that? Well, what happened at the other end? Columbia plays well up and down. They like to play at a breakneck pace. And with that comes some turnovers, but Megan Griffith is scratching her head, wondering where that happy medium is of playing with pace, but also valuing each possession.
Jackson is 75% free throw shooter. She takes advantage as Cornell is 4 of 4 from the line this afternoon. It's a 6-0 run for the Big Red. Abby thinking about the 3. Instead, gives it up to Page in the corner. Loose ball tapped around. It was last touch, they're going to say, by Columbia. The Lions arguing, are we going to get a conference by both officials? We are. And now they're going to reverse course. It will stay with Columbia. So Kitty will inbound 20 on the shot clock here. It's a scoring drought of nearly 2.5 minutes to the Lions. Fliss off the dribble. Dumps it down low to her sister Kitty. And it stays with Columbia. And it speaks volumes of the tenacity of this backcourt, Mark, just continuing to crash the offensive glass.
Yeah, there's a lot of tenacity and persistence. There's not a lot of execution.
Well, there is execution. Susie Raffu.
Nice.
She's not going to let the guards have all the fun. Off
Nice
the dribble
strong
penetration.
attack. Middle drive, finished it off. Oh, look at that. Crossover, nice dish by Ingram. And again, Emily Pape.
So Pape now up to 15. Cornell keeping it a 10-point game. Raffu bounces it to Kitty, could not handle it, and that is turnover number 13. And Cecilia Collins will return.
Ryan Ingram in and out. And that pass, she read the help defense come.
Cornell does have 7 assists on their 9 made field goals. Perry Page came out as Collins returned. As Cornell tries to inbound it inside, his last touch by Columbia will stay with the Big Red. He'll have 19 on the shot clock. It's Megan Griffith looking on. And even before the inbounds, another whistle against Columbia. This one against Collins. That's number 2 on her.
Paige Lauder got called earlier in the quarter for a whistle for a foul before the inbounds. You appreciate Columbia understanding the scout and knowing what's happening, but they've got to move their feet, not rely on their hands.
And the reason why that's costly is now you put Cornell at the free throw line in the form of Jackson, who is now 3 for 3.
And there's still 2 minutes left in the half. Cornell gets to the foul line more than Columbia on average. How does that come into play here in the play calling for Cornell the rest of the quarter?
And a team that is struggling on offense will welcome the free throw opportunities. And they're now going to get the ball back off another turnover by Columbia. It's up to 14.
Megan Griffith wants to get to halftime and have her Lions change uniforms into the group that played the first quarter. The second quarter for Columbia has been very disjointed.
Cornell has scored 15 points off of the Columbia mishaps. That's why they have made this a ball game. And speaking of turnovers, Cornell adds to its total.
23 combined turnovers. Makes for a sloppy game, Lance.
Cornell is dead last in that category. Abby Shue pulls up. Coming down with it is Cows, so Cornell gets the stop. And they now look to push here into the front court. As Ingram looks over to Dana Smith. We'll try to set up the play here.
And if I'm Cornell, I'm putting the basketball on the floor. I'm attacking. I'm forcing Columbia to play defense without fouling, or you get yourself to the foul line.
Cows is able to do just that. Gets the foul against Raffu. It was a size advantage for Columbia, but Cows' quick dribble got the better of Raffu. That's going to be her first personal.
Cows really, as a freshman, plays with a nice level of confidence. Understanding her role, knowing the team needs her to be a scorer. Shooting 51% from the field as a freshman, that's tough to do.
73% from the line. That's going to dip though, and that is the first miss for Cornell as a team. They're 6 of 7. One thing that Dana Smith had mentioned, Cows and even Kilgo, both of them have a quiet confidence about them. They're not loud, they're not outspoken. They let their game do the talking. And we're seeing glimpses of that thus far this afternoon. 6 turnovers in the last 4 minutes for Columbia. Fliss stopped in the lane, out to Collins. And Cornell, another defensive stop.
Nice defensive possession there for Cornell. again, attack the rim, throw it inside of the post, force Columbia to play defense without fouling.
Cows calling for the ball. Collins now fronts her. 12 on the shot clock for the Big Red. Off the dribble. They get into the corner to Green. She's got 6. One too many passes. It's salvaged by Cornell. She's got to get it off. Short. And Henderson with the rebound. And over-aggressive is Cornell on the full court press. They're going to get Cows on the personal.
That's an unfortunate whistle for Cornell in the sense that Columbia has an opportunity here at the foul line now. You'd like to bet on your defense in the half court to hold Columbia.
Well, that was the team's 5th for the Big Red, so that's why Fliss is heading to the line. It was the first against Cows. Fliss this season, 75%. Columbia is now 5 of 9 as a team. Nobody in double figures yet for the Lions. Kitty and Collins lead the way with 8. And Fliss takes both. So with the shot clock off, Cornell can hold for last licks here.
Been going to Rachel Cows as of late.
And Ingram loses the ball, Shoup picks it up. So now Columbia has an opportunity up ahead to Raphew, who lays it in. Susie Raphew making her presence felt to end the second quarter. And it puts Columbia's lead back up to double figures by 11. 37-26, and Barr once again.